Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining codeLive. My name is Mohith. I'm a developer advocate here at Salesforce. And welcome to our codeLive session on Agentforce, client conversation, SDK, and toolkit that we have. Today, I also have Sean with me. Sean, welcome to codeLive. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah, my first one. I'm very excited. Hey to everybody that joined.
All right, Sean, would you like to introduce yourself a bit more?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm also a developer advocate at Salesforce. I'm fairly new. I've only been here about, I say maybe like 5 months. So most definitely the expert. I'm gonna show you some cool stuff I built with the Agentforce Conversation Client. But yeah, so if in the chat, if I say something silly that doesn't sound right, feel free to jump in and let us know. I'm happy to learn as you're learning as well.
Awesome. And Sean, it's very exciting to have you actually because you bring that fresh perspective into Salesforce application development and agentic world that we are all sort of transforming ourselves here. So really excited to have you. So let's actually get to the the content here. So I have my slides here. So let's first talk about Sean. Maybe explain to us what is this Agentforce Conversation Client, so everyone gets on the same page, and then we can probably get into the code.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? So, what is Agentforce Conversation Client? It's essentially a toolkit for bringing employee agent conversations into basically any app that you want. So, doesn't care if it's in Salesforce or you're building something totally separate, like a React dashboard, which is what we're going to look at today. Under the hood, what's happening is it's handling the hard parts for you of, like streaming the agent's responses back in real time. So it feels like you're having an actual conversation. And what's nice is it's not just limited to plain text. You can actually have it be render dynamic components, so you can get rich UI cards, and you're able to just have it feel and look a little bit cleaner and nicer. And the coolest part is that this works, like I said, in Salesforce or like in a React app, totally outside of it that we're gonna do today.
Perfect. And let me actually explain everyone like what you can build with this SDK, right? So you can really control the employee agent force panel. So now I want to be clear here. This is specifically for employee agents only at this point, and not for service agents. But if you're building employee agent, we always had this feedback of, yes, as a developer, you want to control certain behaviors like opening that panel, closing it, or switching between different agents, and also drive the logic from your own components, your own Lightning components. So you can do all of it through the toolkit here. And also, you want to integrate this employee agents in your applications, outside Salesforce maybe. And this, Agentforce Conversation Client actually allows you to do that. With that, Sean, what are some of the key components? Or maybe I'll explain the key components, and then Sean will actually help you sort of understand this by actually showing something that Sean sort of built, and we'll build some of the parts of it live today. So the first key component of it, and this is good news for all of you Lightning components developer, Lightning Web Components developer, is there is a new module called Lightning slash ACC API. You can read about it in the documentation. We'll share the links to that. But essentially, the idea here is you have your own component and you want to drive the conversation uh, of your agent, and also sort of control the behavior of the agent from your own components. So that's now possible with this. We'll not get into actually detail into this actually, because this is something that I think it should be very easy for you to explore yourself, because it's all self-explained in the docs, and everything is well documented. Instead, what we're going to show you is a more exciting, I think, more exciting parts of the Agentforce Conversation Client, which is the Web SDK. Now, within the Web SDK, of course, you can use this Web SDK for React app within Salesforce. But today, Sean is going to show us an external app running outside Salesforce, which is also, I think, Sean, you built using React, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so it uses React, and then we're going to show the lightning out. Now, a lot of you might not be familiar with lightning out. Lightning out is a part of our technology that allows you to take Salesforce UI outside Salesforce. So there's a lot to explore here. We're going to show you agents built with agent script, React application, and then rendering of LWC within that React application using custom lightning types. We're going to look at that as well. So there's a lot to show. And without further ado, Sean, maybe we share your screen and sort of show what we are going to build today, and what is it that we are going to be coding live today.
Yeah, totally. So awesome preview, Mo. And I think it makes sense to kind of start with what is the finished product? What are we trying to ultimately get to?
Mm-hmm.
And so this here, this is a React app that I built. And I use the phrase I built loosely. I certainly had, a coding agent help me put this together. But it's a fairly basic React app, right? I have a few components that pull in. This is actually pulling in, live Salesforce data from my org. And so, this is actual data that's in my Salesforce org. We can see I just have some very basic components up top showing the industries, and then I have my accounts here. But at the very bottom, the thing I want to point out is we have this little start a chat widget. And if I click this is actually the Agentforce Conversation Client. So this is the final product. This is after I have taken an agent that's already built, right? So I have this account insights agent that was already built prior. It's deployed and live in my org. It has access to the data that it needs. And what else can I say about the agent? Yeah, it's already ready to go. It has some sub agents. So the functionality for the agents there, we're not going to necessarily look at that today, but I want to just show you what it does. And we can see these are some of the different accounts, right? I have, these are all, fictional companies from movies and popular stuff, but let's just ask the agent, tell me about Dunder Mifflin. And again, this is embedded right inside, my React app. We'll see how easy it is to get this agent into my React app. And then when it gets its information, this is actually pulling, again, live from my Salesforce data. It pulls up this information. And are these the fanciest, prettiest, cards? No, but these aren't just walls of text, right? Like we have something here that gives us something a little bit cleaner, a little bit neater to look at.
Awesome. So just for everyone, right? So you have a React app and it is running on your local host, correct? On your machine, right? And of
Yes.
course,
Yeah.
we don't want to get into deployment surface here, but it could also be deployed to Salesforce now. But imagine this is a local app that's running. It's all built in React. But what is cool that I saw here is the same Agentforce agent that you built in Salesforce, right? Is now working within this React application. And also, it's not rendering the walls of text, but this is Lightning Web Components, right? It's Lightning Web Components that's rendering within this React application. I think it's cool. It has your own web application, and then you are building all these custom Lightning types within your Salesforce, and then the agent, as you said. So I'm really excited to actually see how you actually build this. And let's actually uncover the details here.
Yeah, it's great. That's great, Mo. I think just to kind of like further paint the picture of like, we took two totally separate things, and like the core value add here is right. Like this was my app previously. This is a live version of it as well without Agentforce Conversation Client added to it. So useful in its own right. You have this info, you have this data. Excuse me. But then I also have in Agentforce Builder, this is the agent that is actually being used and was embedded in the app that we showed first. Right. And so if I were to ask this agent in preview mode, the same thing, right? If I were to say, tell me about Dunder Mifflin, it's going to do the same thing, right? Like, so what I think is really neat is that we've taken these, disparate pieces of useful information that we've built, right? We have our React dashboard. And then totally separately, we have our agent that's able to get the information, which again are cool separate, but the power comes in like bringing these together into one place. And so that's what, we're going to show. And I'm going to go into the code now.
Maybe first we want to break that React app. I want you to show some React here, right? Like I know a lot of our developers are Lightning Web Component developers. Some of them love React too. So maybe we see your React components, how you build these React apps to begin with. Of course, we'll not deep dive, but let's just look at the code, and then maybe you show us the Agentforce, and then we'll see how you did the integrations and stuff.
Totally love it. So I have my console open here. I'm going to collapse this because we don't need it right now. Just want to give some more real estate. But if you look, right, if you're familiar with React or if you're not, what we have here is our main app file, which just shows it's a standard React. It's just composing all of our different components. Mm-hmm. And if you think back to the app that we just looked at, like everything here is just a component from React. So we had that header row, and then that's just getting, basically composed onto our screen. We have our stats row. So this file is just taking all of the individual components and putting them together and handling some loading and styling aspects to our app. Mm-hmm. To show you where we're getting the actual info from, right? If I were to, and I actually had this open in a different one, so I lost track of my, where is it? Yeah, here we go. So how we're actually getting this info into Salesforce, mm-hmm. right? So these are the data queries that are happening to populate our React page itself, right? So we have two queries. We have one that's getting the account info and one that's getting the pipeline info. Mm-hmm. So nothing to do with agent yet, right? This is just generating our React dashboard, getting the live data from Salesforce. Mm-hmm. And then once we have that, right, and this kind of just goes through all the process of managing that query before it ultimately, all the info that we need or that the app needs is retrieved and then able to be populated and composed onto our actual web page. And then, if we wanted to look, so just so you know that this is just real React. If we were to just look at let's say we look at the industry chart, right? This is just basic React. Mm-hmm. Here we have like a lot of customization and CSS and stuff, and just different ways to display it. But we have, as I scroll, mm-hmm. You kind of see, if you're familiar with React, that standard, exporting the component, the passing of props and things along those lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there are a couple of questions here that we would want to take. First is from Sally. Sally, thanks for joining. And Sally's question was like, like LWC is rendered in the agent. Are you using Lightning types or AXL? Sally, at this point, right, the AXL is, as you know, it's very close to being sort of released. So we are using custom Lightning types, but custom Lightning types are part of AXL under the umbrella. So you can say that it's an AXL, but we are using the regular custom Lightning types. Also, another question came in was like, why are we not using the UI bundle within this project? Because this is an external React application. I just want to remind everyone, this is not a React application built for the Salesforce, within the Salesforce, using the new React container that we have, the multi-framework that we have. But there is nothing wrong in going that way too. But we wanted to show you with an application that is working outside Salesforce, and that's why we have it. All right, I think we can keep going here, Sean.
Yeah, well said, Mo. Thanks for the questions. And somebody asked if they're going to get code access. We do have. I did, share a repo that kind of has the starting point that I use. So
Hmm.
you can certainly use it as a starting point, but again, it's like kind of a sample app that was put together for really just like for a demo and exploring. But the links that Mo just shared on the screen, this has a lot of resources. So if you wanted to see the starter code, or if you want to see the docs and other information that we're going to look at as we start building, a lot of resources on that post there.
Yeah, and we will share this at the end too. If you haven't got chance to sort of note it down, don't worry. We'll share it at the end too. Okay, so this is React application, and somebody was also asking, like, why you are not using GraphQL and why you are using REST API. I just want to clarify here. I mean, you can use GraphQL too. That comes with the SDK bundle, or you can use the REST API. I think it's just a preference. At this point, we wanted to just show a React application working outside. But again, if you're working within Salesforce, the bundle already comes with GraphQL, so you can use GraphQL. Here also, you can put a you can call the GraphQL API too instead of the regular REST API. You can use the GraphQL too. I just wanted to put it out there.
Yeah, yeah. And to further answer why we used REST instead of GraphQL, I'm just more comfortable with REST. I've only used
Mm.
GraphQL a little bit, so
Got it.
that was the main reason I built this demo with that. But I know we have some videos that talk about how to uh, you know get data and modify data with GraphQL in React. So we certainly have that as well.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. I think what we could do now next is show them the agent force aspect. Like, how did you build that agent force agent that you just showed us?
Yeah, so maybe Mo, before jumping into that, real quick, do we want to talk about like the lightning types and the Gen AI functions, just so that it's not kind of hand waving magic that the agents do and all these things?
Yeah. We can talk about that first, or agent force first. Up to you. Maybe we talk about the lightning types that you have, and then move on to the agent force.
Cool. Yeah, I don't think there's a ton, but I just want people to be aware, right, that we've created these LWCs and like the renderers, so that basically when the agent responds, it has a kind of a format that it knows to follow and is able to generate these rich UI responses. So we can look at one. I don't know, Mo, if you want to
Yeah.
add more to that.
Yeah, let's look at one of them. I think it's just regular Lightning Web Components, but I think with the custom Lightning types. So as you can see, this is just a regular LWC components. I mean, I strongly encourage that you download the MCPs that we have for LWC best practices and the skills, and use your coding agent actually to speed on this entire process. I'll just have to be honest. I haven't handwritten LWC in a long while now. It's all agent generated. Of course, I am the designer and the orchestrator, and sort of I put all my human signals into the coding agent, but the coding agent is able to do the grunt work for me here. I think slowly we are moving to that. So as you can see, it is that HTML and JS and basically the CSS that you're all familiar with. But I think what I wanted you to show, Sean, is the lightning types folder itself. I think that is main. So here in the lightning types folder, if you open one of them, just open one of them, and we can talk through the Gen AI. So yeah, so this is like the renderer.json. So this is what points to the actual component. So any component that you want to render within your Agentforce agents as LWCs, you have to use this renderer as well. And yeah, every you will see it will have a renderer and a schema.json. So there's also a schema.json, correct? That is there here. So Sean, if you could open the schema.json here, I could talk through that. So this is the schema type. So this tells, like, the lightning component, like, what does that schema look like when you are actually rendering that component. So it's basically a bridge between that lightning web component and the apex layer that's rendering, and the schema needs to be sort of disclosed here to the agent. So and there is a blog actually that I'm gonna just right now find and post. So if you are interested about learning how custom lightning components sort of work, that blog post like clearly describes everything that you need to know about building these components, and then sort of exposing them to the Agentforce interface. And I'll share the link right away. um, yeah, so there's not a lot here. It's just regular components, but make sure that you understand custom lightning types as well. And there are a lot of docs on custom lightning types. And I'll make sure to share those blogs with you as well, if you are sort of new to this custom LWCs and lightning types. Um, yeah. Um, Other than that, I think we can move on to the agent here, probably.
Yeah. Awesome. So I saw a question from Sally. Can we see how the Agentforce agent gets exposed to the React app? And that's exactly what we're going to show in build right now. So just looking at our app .tsx, right? This is everything that's getting rendered, and you see that we don't have anything for our Agentforce Conversation Client, and that's exactly what we're going to add in. So to do that, I'm going to go to our docs, and I'm going to pull that up. Give me just a second. I'm on the wrong. So this is the agent. Okay, here we go. So this is
Maybe zoom this one a bit. Like I think you're.
Yes. Sorry.
There you go. Perfect.
Okay. So there's information on, there's documentation on the Agentforce Conversation Client in general for getting started. I'm specifically looking at this one in the multi-framework overview for how to add it to our React app. And so it ends up being quite easy. I'm not going to go through, all the docs pages. If you want to read through, everything, all the advantages to using the conversation client in React, you can. What I'm going to do is just scroll down until we get to the bottom where it gives us information on how to implement it. So the very first thing, and there's actually some prereqs that you would have to do, and we'll go through those for your org as well. But once we've done that, then it's just a matter of installing the npm package and then creating a component. So I've already done this, but if you hadn't, you would just do npm install for this package. And I'll show briefly the npm page for this. It's quite in depth. This has a lot of great info for, again, this is the Agentforce Conversation Client in general. This isn't the specific to React part of things. And so it has a lot of valuable info here. But again, we're specifically doing it for React. And then the first thing, and then after you install the package, then it's just creating the component. And it ends up being fairly straightforward. But Mo, there are some prereqs. Do you think it'd make more sense to talk about the prereqs for your org now, or go ahead and add it in?
Yeah, I think we should talk about all the prerequisites that the org required.
Okay. So there's another docs page, and just so you don't have to watch me click around, I already have it loaded up. But there is a page specifically that guides us through configuring the Agentforce Conversation Client for React development. So there are a few steps that you have to go through to do this. And what I'm going to do is just put this up right next to my org itself. So, it's very zoomed in, so it's going to be a little condensed, but really all we're going to do is follow these steps to make sure that our org is configured. So the very first thing, and I zoomed in, so it got a little funny. Here we go. Okay. We have to set up the Agentforce Employee Agent. This is something, I've already done, but I'll show you how we would do this. Right. I'm going to go into setup. Sorry, if you couldn't see that, like the UI is a little bit funky because we're so zoomed in, but you click the cog, right? Go to setup, and this pulls up this page here where you can make the changes you need for your org. And then I'm going to search for Einstein Generative AI Agentforce Studio. In this case, I'm just going to search for Einstein. And I know that I'm looking for the generative AI. And specifically, I want Agentforce agents. So I'm going to click here. And then once this pulls up, for me, again, this is already toggled on because I've created my agent and I have this on, but you want to make sure that Agentforce, that this is toggled on, right? So this is going to allow you to start building, your agents.
Yeah, and very important, once you toggle that on, refresh your browser, because then only it will show up the new agent button and Agentforce Studio, which is or the new Agentforce Builder interface.
Good call. Good call. Okay, so once this step is done, the next is to configure routing and policies. And like it says, this is just to make sure that our conversation client and the React app itself stay in sync with each other. So the first thing we're going to do is work on this cookie policy. So we're going to go into my domain. I'll search for my domain and I'll pull this up here. And then I'll find the routing and policy section. If the require first party use of Salesforce cookies is enabled, click edit and then deselect it. So basically you just want to make sure that this box is not checked, and make sure you save. That's a issue I've run into before where I didn't save something.
Got it.
And then I think this is the last one that we have to do. It's just set up a trusted domain for the Agentforce Conversation Client. And this is going to be, basically where we tell, we're working with iframes for, having the Agentforce Conversation Client pop up. And so if we're having this basically embedded in our page, we need to be able to say that this is a trusted site or port that we're going to, be able to have our web app hosted in.
Yeah, Salesforce by default. So for all of you, right, Salesforce by default doesn't allow itself to iframe into any other application for the security reasons, of course. But if you put it here, you are whitelisting your domain basically.
And to do that, we are going to go into
so that is in session settings actually.
Yes. Right. So yeah, we'll go for session settings.
Yeah.
And I've already done this, but again, we're just going through the steps to see what you have to do. So we're gonna find in the trusted domains. I'm gonna scroll up. Yeah. Okay, so here's our trusted domains for inline frames. Like Mo said, for security reasons, we have to explicitly state which ones are allowed to be used. And if you're doing it right, you would add. I have 2 different ports for localhost for this, demo that we've built. But you would just click Add Domain, add it in here, and then specifically for what we're doing, right? You want to do Lightning Out for the iframe types. And Mo, I'll let you actually. This can be a good learning moment for me. Like, why do we need the Lightning Out? Do you want to talk a little bit about what's happening with Lightning Out?
Yeah, so Lightning Out is a technology where, as I said, what happens is when you are exposing like these 2 frames, right, like Salesforce and let's say another application, these 2 frames should securely sort of talk to each other. And Lightning Out is a way to do it. So with Lightning Out, we have taken care of a lot of security aspects of it. And this is the technology basically that allows you to securely sort of communicate between your Salesforce frame and your main frame or the application. So that is why we need Lightning Out. And Lightning Out itself is an entire technology stack here within Salesforce, so you can read about it. We actually went GA with Lightning Out a couple of releases back, where if you want to like take any Lightning Web component that you have built, and you want to expose that Lightning Web component to a third party application, you do this through Lightning Out. So there are different aspects there, like for example, how do you do the authentication between these two systems? That Lightning Out allows you, or it has like a framework, secure framework to be able to easily sort of authenticate and authorize. So you are getting only the permissions that you have access in Salesforce, like real Salesforce world as a user. You have similar privileges when you are actually working on a third party application. So basically it takes care of identity, security, and all of these important aspects. So you don't have to like engineer it, and still allows you to take Salesforce investment that you have done by building these components to be available anywhere within your application stack. So yeah.
Well, I've got to just say thanks for being on this call with me, because that's a way better explanation than I would have ever been able to give, and definitely learned from that. So thank you.
Sure. Yeah, so once we have that Lightning Out and everything, I think your org at this point is sort of ready. As you can see, like it's ready. And one question I wanted to ask you, and this came up actually as we were sort of discussing this, is so these employee agents sort of run as a logged in user. Like if you were running this employee agent, only your user permissions are like sort of respected. Like your user permissions are what actually makes that agent run. So the agent doesn't get extra privileges, right? It's secure based on the configuration that the Salesforce administrators do for your user. My question is, how is it that happening within your React application that you showed us?
Yes, that's a great question. So I'm going to go back to the docs, which will follow and add it in. And what happens, like so this is the code that we're going to use, and I'll actually pull up the code in a second, but this is the code that we use to add the Agentforce agent let me just make this full screen, into our app. And you can see here, right, when you embed the Agentforce Conversation Client, you add the agent ID.
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe that this is how it is basically tied to your account, right? It's like
I see.
So that's my understanding, at least, is by
Yeah,
the agent
got it.
ID. Yeah.
Yeah, so the moment you put like so are you using the and I think we'll have to see as you kind of show us. So you'll be also using the front door URL, or you won't be using the front door URL?
Another good question. So you need to use either front door URL or Salesforce origin,
Uh-huh.
um, which is better explained in the NPM package docs.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically what happened, so even though I'm using an external app, right, and I'm using localhost, I'm going to use Salesforce origin because for this demo, at least, I have the browser open, and I
Mm-hmm.
have like a session already authenticated, and so I've been getting uh, a a token that kind of syncs my
Mm-hmm.
application and the Agentforce Conversation Client with the uh, browser session that I have open. So that's
Okay.
how I've done it for this project. But if you were doing it otherwise, you would have to be
I'll explain this a bit more actually.
yeah,
So
okay.
if you actually like zoom that part, the prerequisite part a little more. So for all of you, right? So you see there are actually three different ways now, right? So three different ways, right? So the first one uses Salesforce origin, which is what Sean is using. So what's happening here is, because Sean's browser is already authenticated to Salesforce, right? um, just because by putting that Salesforce origin, it treats as if that app is within Salesforce, and that's why Sean doesn't have to do all the authentication dance and authorization, etc. The session is just synced to Salesforce logged in user, which is Sean in this case. But if you are truly deploying this now, if you were to deploy this application on, let's say, something like Heroku, or on your own website, right? Then you would need to use the front door URL. And again, you'll go to the lightning out documentation to read about this front door URL. And there are additional things that you would have to actually take care of. And again, I don't think we are getting into identity in this session. But if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. But that doc clearly explains how to get that front door URL and how to manage that URL for you. So that would easily allow you to sort of authenticate into Salesforce via multiple things. Then it connects to OAuth at that point. So you have different options, like let's say you are authenticating through the JWT, you can do, or if you want OAuth dance for your external application to happen with Salesforce identity, you can do that as well. So that is what you will do. And then the site prefix and other part here is for Experience Cloud site. So as I said, this client today, the conversation client, I think it's only for employee agent, as it says, right? You have to create an employee agent. But if you want, like, let's say you're building up a partner community and you want this employee agent to be available there, then you can use the Experience Cloud site URL and sort of use the identity that we provide with Experience Cloud site URL as well. So again, there are different ways for you to authenticate. At this point, I think we are going to use the Salesforce origin, because this is just a local host application that we are showing you. But for the production purposes, if you are deploying there, you need the front door URL. Or if you have a React app built with multi-framework within Salesforce, then you don't need that front door URL and all those kind of identity, and you don't need to worry about it. You just put the Salesforce origin and you're good to go.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Mo.
Yeah.
Cool. So I think with that, let's go ahead and add it into our app now. So we're going to basically copy and paste this code to implement the React host component. So I'm just going to move this over and pull up our Visual Studio Code or IDE. And what I want to do is I'm going to create a new component. So what I have to do is, man, these things are popping up on us. Basically create the component and then add it to app.tsx. So it knows, so it can get rendered onto the screen. So let's first create a component.
So this component is your basically the chat component or the client. Okay.
The Agentforce Conversation Client component. Yep.
Okay.
So we'll call it Agentforce Conversation.tsx. And I'm just going to copy this exactly as is, and paste it in. Now, there are a few things that we are going to have to change, and I'm going to collapse this for now so we have a little more room here. A few things to note, right? We have use effect and use ref. These are just standard React tools. The docs got a little bit funky when they got imported. So, in TypeScript, we were saying for use ref, this is where we're basically going to create an empty div for the Agentforce Conversation Client to be added into. But by default, when you copy it, it has these spaces. So it kind of looks like it's trying to compare like less than or greater than to null. And that's not right. For TypeScript, we're just saying that it's going to be an HTML div element. And then we actually have to wrap null in parentheses. So that's our first change if you're just copying and pasting the code directly from the docs here. Other than that, the only other things we're going to change, right? If we were to look at, the other things that were happening here, right? So very first thing is, right, when we export our Agentforce conversation, we are first creating this empty div for the conversation client to be added into. Then we have this use effect function that just says like after this is, and I'm not pretending to be a React expert. So if I'm saying things that are wrong, folks, feel free to jump in. But after this is created, then we want use effect to go in and, so now we have this container for the Agentforce to be added to. And then we're going to go ahead and through this function here, we're going to actually create it. We have the container for it to go. And I'm going to change it. This is what I said before. We're not going to use front door URL. I'm actually going to use the Salesforce origin. And again, this is going to work because I'm already logged in and have gotten a token and everything. So I'm going to just pull up that info. I think it's just going to be.
That's the domain.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know I want to put, well, I know I need more here, but I am unsure exactly what to put.
Can we go to the my domain there? So if you go to your Salesforce org, Sean, you also have my domain where you can just copy paste. Oh, there you go. So
yeah. So
like,
where would I find that again?
If you go to the setup screen,
Okay.
and if you search for my domain here, so every Salesforce org has a my domain, which is the domain, and you see that the my domain name there.
Yes.
And the full current my domain URL. I guess that's what they need.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I've been doing it where I have a script that pulls this for me. So I haven't actually copied and pasted this myself, and I wasn't sure where to find it. So
is it like my.salesforce.com or is it the Lightning domain? I would say, let's see.
I've used this before, and I believe this works. So
Okay.
I think I'm gonna stick with the Lightning one.
Okay, Lightning one. Okay, so you need Lightning. That makes sense actually because it uses Lightning out, so it has to be the Lightning domain.
Okay. And then so we have right. So this is where it tells the Agentforce Conversation Client what the origin is, and then this is where we can start configuring the things that are going to make it display how we want. And so this is that required agent ID for our employee agent. So if you have your agent already built, I'm going to go into my Agentforce builder. There are a few ways you can find this. I believe it's in the URL, or you can just look in the agent definition itself. And so I'm just going to copy and paste this from my agent definition. And I'm going to make this full screen for now because I'm not going to use anything else from the docs for a second. So I'm going to paste my agent ID here. And here, this is optional, this agent label. I'm going to change this to Employee Insights Agent. And you can see here, like the rendering config, we want this mode to be floating. That's what's going to pull it up in the bottom right, like we saw in the example. And so I'm going to go ahead and save it. And I believe that this file, so this component is good to go. This can be added into our app just like this. So we only had to change, a handful of things from the docs itself. But in order to make sure this shows up in our app, we actually have to add it to app.tsx. And so I already have this file open, right? This is just also, one of it's like our main component here.
Main app, yeah.
Main app. So I'm going to import Agentforce Conversation, and it auto populates for me. So I will save that. But now I have to actually add it into our app. I'm going to add it. Sure, let's see what happens. We can add it there and see what happens. Usually I've added it before the end of the div, so we'll see if this works. So let's go ahead and save it. And this should work in terms of just getting it on our page right from the start.
I see.
So I believe I just want to make sure that I'm not looking at my old one because I don't want to lie to people.
There you go.
All right. So yeah, that was it. It went from not having it at all.
Hot reloads, like it hot reloads. Like I didn't even see you running the the npm and compiling, etc. It's hot reload.
Yeah, because it's using Vite, so it's live hot
Oh, the
reload.
wheat. Okay, the wheat. Okay,
Yeah,
so you use the
yeah.
wheat. Okay.
So unfortunately, yeah, it's like just shows up right away. We don't get the privilege of seeing it. uh,
That's good. That's good.
happen. Yeah.
Perfect. So I think then that's about it, I guess. And then all the features um, is just a agent force agent at that point.
Yeah, right. So everything's going to work as you would expect, right? If I wanted to, whatever agent functionality you asked it, I could ask it to tell me about, certain clients. I could ask it to, I mean, really whatever functionality you added.
I see.
But I think what's kind of cool, Mo, is we can add in. So as I look on the npm page, like there's a lot of things you can do to change
The look and
uh,
feel of it.
the look and feel exactly.
Love it. Yeah.
Um, right. So if let's say like, this is cool, but let's say I want this like header, to kind of match what we have in our app. There are ways to do that.
There you go. There are flags there, right there. It says the header enabled flag to true. So you see there is a header enabled flag that's already set to true, and if we want, we can tweak that. Um, we can tweak the icons, I guess. If we want, we can hide the icons. What else we can do? The theming.
You could
Okay.
change the style. Yeah, this was quite. I like changing these. This made it feel kind of like, you know, fun and easy. So if I wanted to add some style tokens,
Nice.
let's see if we add this in and if that works quick for us. All right, I'm gonna collapse this. Okay, so client config. Let's go ahead and add.
So while you are adding, I have a couple of questions here. I'll take it. So the question is, if we have multiple employee agents, can we toggle between them? I think you'll have to build that in actually, where you are like sort of dynamically changing that agent ID basically. So it's possible, Sally. You just have to like find a way to like change that configuration and re-render the hooks, the React hooks. Um, Also, there is a question on how can we expose this agent in community site. Um, yeah, I haven't tried it, but it seems like you can from the documentation. You would need a partner community, I guess, not the customer community. But with the partner community, I guess you should be able to with some licenses. But I myself haven't tried to it, so I'll get back to you on that. um, and the agent id is the agent id. And again, just to be clear on the authentication part, right? Because Sean is already logged in into Salesforce org, if you use the correct origin, it uses your browser and lightning out technology to infer that uh, from the browser, right? It uses the third party cookies to get the session, and then you don't need to go through the identity. But let's say it's deployed on an outside domain, it will ask you to log in into Salesforce. So you would need front door URL configuration for that. um, yeah. um, yeah, I don't see a lot more questions around pricing and stuff like that. I see a lot of questions. Unfortunately, we don't answer pricing related questions um, here. So that's definitely out of context here. Um, so yeah, so there is a, as you can see, as Sean is like kind of scrolling, there are a lot of things in there to for you to explore and configure this when you're sort of building this. There's a lot of configurability built into this as well, and there are flags to configure certain behavior. I think the coolest part to me, Sean, is not having to worry about, see, if I use API, for example, right? I can use agent API as well. Um, to do this kind of work. But if you are sort of using this within any web application, I would go with this route, because you will have to still take care of like streaming the messages and sort of grouping them and all kinds of logic here, and that is all taken care automatically for you. So I think that is the coolest part to me, right? And being able to just use the lightning components that you have built for your agents, just like that, I think that is a really good value add. And yeah, I actually see it very beneficial, right? Like one of the cool story I can tell is I had someone on LinkedIn. I forget the our trailblazer name here. Sorry for that. But he reached out to me, and he actually showed me building a complete like a native Electron desktop application that was just Agent Force. Right? It was Agent Force, and you could like talk to multiple agents. And the way he did this was using this conversation client actually, because again this is not tied to a specific thing here. I think we showed with the React application actually, but it is an npm module. Remember that it's just an npm
Yeah.
module. So you can technically sort of use this and work with any framework of your choice. Yeah, so the recordings will be posted, the docs. Let me actually share the doc here. So as you can see, you can scan this QR code, and there's a community post that we just did on Trailblazer community, and that has all the details. With that, Sean, anything else you would like to add on?
No, I think you kind of nailed some of the benefits. I really just like the idea of being able to add this into whatever application you want. Right, you don't have to keep the useful things that you have as part of your Salesforce workflow separate. So yeah, I think
Perfect.
it's pretty neat.
Yeah. And the other thing that I wanted to call out is the resources. Again, I shared the QR code right there. You can scan, or you can just screenshot this one and or use the URL here to find the QR code yourself. And the last thing I wanted to ask you is your valuable feedback. So we have been doing this code live session, and we really want to hear from you all. So I'll pop this feedback QR code here. Anything that any new topics you would like to see, or anything that you want to let us know, please use that feedback. And as I said, feedback is always like a gift to us, right? So please feel free to share your feedback. Um, and with that, actually, let's see. So we have couple more minutes. I think we can go and see if there are any questions here that we kind of missed. Of course, we'll also look at LinkedIn later on and see if we have missed any questions. And feel free to reach out to us on a LinkedIn. Um, yeah, so I think we roughly covered everything here, um, except for pricing questions, which we don't. And then MCP for render types. Yeah, so this is another thing that we will investigate a bit. I know there is a question here on which MCP exposes these schemas on custom lightning types. I have to play with some of these MCPs myself, so I'm not sure, but I'll get back to you on if there are MCPs for custom lightning types. But really, it is, if you give one of the examples from our doc, usually the coding agents are able to like understand and sort of tweak it to your need. There's not a lot of like the schema file is not very big. It's usually just Apex schema and renderer. So um, yeah, um, and the docs we just shared. And yeah, the GitHub repo access again, use that QR code that I shared earlier. So this one, and on the sforce.co/acc, you will see all the resources there. We have a link to the GitHub repo as well. It's in the Trailblazer community, and this
Mo,
is
I just realized somebody left a comment they didn't have access to the GitHub repo because it was private.
oh,
So I just
okay.
flipped that to public. So hopefully,
Thank you.
yeah, hopefully folks are able to see that now. Sorry about that.
All right. Thank you, Sean. Okay, so I think with that, definitely, please feel free to reach out to us. And Sean, thank you so much for showing this capability. I'm pretty sure I myself like sort of learned a lot from you here, watching this, uh, build specifically around the conversation client and how powerful and the features that it has. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, and thanks to you as well, Mo, and thanks to everybody who joined that asked questions. It's a lot more fun when folks are interested. So thanks to everybody that joined us.
Yeah, and again, stay in touch with us, folks. There's this dev community. There is our website, developer.salesforce.com/blogs, and our YouTube channel. All of these resources you can see on my screen right now. And with that, thank you actually so much for joining us this morning, evening, or noon, depending on your time zones. And we will see you on the next one. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.